A society that admits misery, a humanity that admits war, seem to me an inferior society and a debased humanity. It is a higher society and a more elevated humanity at which I am aiming, a society without kings, a humanity without barriers. The man who does not know other languages, unless he is a man of genius, necessarily has deficiencies in his ideas. There are no rules, no models, rather, there are no rules other than the general laws of nature. I put a Phrygian cap on the old dictionary. Skepticism, that dry carries of the intelligence. Strange to say, the luminous world is the invisible world, the luminous world is that which we do not see. Our eyes of flesh see only night. Because one doesn't like the way things are is no reason to be unjust towards God. Despotism is a long crime. Indigestion is charged by God with enforcing morality on the stomach. Evil. Mistrust those who rejoice at it even more than those who do it. We say that slavery has vanished from European civilization, but this is not true. Slavery still exists, but now it applies only to women and its name is prostitution. A noble soul and real poetic talent are almost always inseparable. It is most pleasant to commit a just action which is disagreeable to someone whom one does not like. Taste is the common sense of genius. The drama is complete poetry. The ode and the epic contain it only in germ, it contains both of them in a state of high development, and epitomizes both. My childhood began, as everybody's childhood begins, with prejudices. Man finds prejudices beside his cradle, puts them from him a little in the course of his career, and often, alas, takes to them again in his old age. Verse in itself does not constitute poetry. Verse is only an elegant vestment for a beautiful form. Poetry can express itself in prose, but it does so more perfectly under the grace and majesty of verse. It is poetry of soul that inspires noble sentiments and noble actions as well as noble writings. I would have liked to be, indeed, I should have been, a second Rembrandt. Genius, the superhuman in man. The omnipotence of evil has never resulted in anything but fruitless efforts. Our thoughts always escape from whoever tries to smother them. You have enemies. Good. That means you've stood up for something, sometime in your life. Music expresses that which cannot be said and on which it is impossible to be silent. There is nothing like a dream to create the future. Life is the flower for which love is the honey. What would be ugly in a garden constitutes beauty in a mountain. "40 is the old age of youth, 50 the youth of old age." Be like the bird who, pausing in her flight a while on boughs too slight, feels them give way beneath her, and yet sings, knowing she hath wings. A great artist is a great man in a great child. Adversity makes men, and prosperity makes monsters. Nations, like stars, are entitled to eclipse. All is well, provided the light returns and the eclipse does not become endless night. Dawn and resurrection are synonymous. The reappearance of the light is the same as the survival of the soul. Change your opinions, keep to your principles, change your leaves, keep intact your roots. The greatest happiness of life is the conviction that we are loved, loved for ourselves, or rather, loved in spite of ourselves. How did it happen that their lips came together? How does it happen that birds sing, that snow melts, that the rose unfolds, that the dawn whitens behind the stark shapes of trees on the quivering summit of the hill? A kiss, and all was said. Death has its revelations. The great sorrows which open the heart open the mind as well. Light comes to us with our grief. As for me, I have faith, I believe in a future life. How could I do otherwise? My daughter was a soul, I saw this soul. I touched it, so. One is not idle because one is absorbed. There is both visible and invisible labor. To contemplate is to toil, to think is to do. The crossed arms work, the clasped hands act. The eyes upturned to heaven are an act of creation. Love, in the eyes of the world, is either a carnal appetite or a vague fancy, which possession extinguishes or absence destroys. That is why it is commonly said, with a strange abuse of words, that passion does not endure. I met in the street a very poor young man who was in love. His hat was old, his coat worn, his cloak was out at the elbows, the water passed through his shoes, and the stars through his soul. A society that admits misery, a humanity that admits war, seem to me an inferior society and a debased humanity. It is a higher society and a more elevated humanity at which I am aiming, a society without kings, a humanity without barriers.